Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Bill Chasing the Movies, and I've got 6 more to review for you this week as the summer continues to wind down. The first is the highly anticipated, much talked about Inglourious Basterds, directed by perhaps the most influential director of all time, Quentin Tarantino. Now the best way to describe Tarantino is a bold, questionable, methodical, no-holds-barred, balls-to-the-wall director who relies heavily on a good soundtrack and his obsession with the concept of B-movies being glorified into something more. That has made him one of the most talked about people in all of Hollywood in the last 20 years in the realm of filmmaking. Heavily influenced by 1960s war films, the Bastards, referred to in the title, are led by Brad Pitt, playing Lieutenant Aldo Raine, leading a group of American soldiers dropped behind enemy lines in World War II. And what is their goal? Killing Nazis. And not just killing them, scalping them. Yes, he wants his Nazi scalps. Anyway, Now, don't let the previews fool you. Now, Hitler is not the guy who is the main villain in this film. That job, however, is done very, very well by Christoph Waltz, sorry, I always do that, as Colonel Hans Landa, and he's portraying a villain like very few I've ever seen. He's psychotic, sadistic, has a slight charm to him, he's subtle, and at times just completely and utterly ridiculous. But it works greatly. A weird balance, yes, but Waltz pulls it off better than anyone else could have. It's one of those performances that after you watch it, you believe nobody else can do it, and he deserves a definite Oscar nomination here. Now, also in this film, Melanie Laurent adds an unspoken seductiveness to the film as Shosanna, whose red dress character is drawn completely from cliche, but is used to the utmost importance to the film, and it provides a fullness as well to the story that is being told, as along with many of the other supporting characters in this film. Now, Brad Pitt does not go over the top with his performance, and he very well could have. Now, this isn't to say his character isn't over the top, because he most certainly is, but he steadies the line that the character needs to be, and doesn't take it any further than it should go. And that's what Tarantino does best. He makes films whose concepts would work only as B-movies, but he does more than just glorify. He gives it shape and makes the characters and story important and draws characters from what he believes would be true responses if the story that he was telling was 110% real. And this film is no different. Inglourious Basterds is a movie that is well aware of what it is and has no problem with it. A glorified cranium bashing fest with bright characters, and it's about as much a war film as the movie Obsessed was a social commentary about stalking. Now, the film is unforgiving, unrelenting, and that's what it needed to be. But a film like Inglourious Basterds is not meant to be taken seriously, and I don't mean... what I mean by that is I don't want war film purists balking at the film for ignoring history, because, well, hey, that's exactly what's going on here, and we all know it, as does Tarantino and everyone else making this film. Now, in my opinion, this ranks right up there with some of Tarantino's other masterpieces he built, with those same kind of traits, yet with different concepts. Reservoir Dogs told a story of hired guns getting ready for a heist, and it told a story of their interaction together as well as the heist itself. It kept me glued to the screen more than a film like G.I. Joe ever could. I still have no idea what Pulp Fiction was about, but that's part of its charm, and I really don't care. I loved it from beginning to end, and it was brilliant. That's probably the only time you'll hear me praise a movie that doesn't have a real plot synopsis. Jackie Brown was a story of double-crossing betrayal at every turn, not knowing what was what from what at any point in the movie. That's how confusing it was. But again, its sharp effect made it enjoyable, and even with the use of a former literal B-movie blaxploitation actress in the lead title role among some Hollywood bigwigs helped give it that sort of originality. And who can forget the Kill Bill movies, which I've just run out of words to describe on countless occasions. Now, Tarantino's popular culture influences aren't what would be considered to be popular culture, maybe amongst the general public today, but I'd love to see him direct an episode of Family Guy and see what he does with that. Now, that's what I mean. We may not consider it that way, but for Tarantino, it was a big popular culture influence because it's popular to him of how he gets the stories for these films. But again, I'd like to see him go a 180 and do Family Guy. Like that's just something I would enjoy. Now, Inglourious Basterds is not only a fun romp, it's a great film, chock full of everything that makes a Tarantino film, as well as many other films that, for that matter, great. I praise Pitt, Waltz, and Laurent for their performances, but they really lend well to the story. But even Eli Roth, who I pan as a sick, twisted individual because he directed Hostel, is really good here as one of the American soldiers, as well as many other good spring small roles. Really lend some effectiveness to the film, including B.J. Novak, Diane Kruger, Julie Dreyfus, and Mike Myers. Yes, that Mike Myers. And they all do very well here, and they, like I said, they just lend a little something to what's going on in the story. Inglourious Basterds is a film that seems like a ruthless mess, but that's part of its brilliance. So, in closing, 5 stars, the perfect 5 out of 5 for Inglourious Basterds.